going to show you what it looks like to do a correct Shopify site speed optimization. So this is what you should be doing. First of all, we're going to look at Cadden Lane Baby Boutique. I don't know these guys. If this is you, you have a beautiful store. It looks absolutely fantastic. And why am I picking these out is because you guys have a very typical issue. If you go to testmystorespeed.com, it checks Shopify stores, you're gonna immediately see something very typical, which is these guys have Yotpo installed, but they also have product reviews installed. So one of the main things that eats up your Shopify site speed is having residual app code that's just trying to load, but the app isn't there anymore and you never cleaned up the code. So this to me is already a complete giveaway that there is room for optimization. Now, if we look, these guys have 203 requests. That's kind of more than usual. Right here, you clearly see the average number of requests is around 119, and that's the average, so that's not fast. 203 requests, that's a lot. On top of it, you can see the page size, which is 3.5 megabyte. That is a pretty big page that needs to be loaded every single time. Now you might tell me, Andrew, the load time isn't that bad. Okay, but that's because Google's on a good server, and yes, it does load in a pretty decent amount of time. But this 203 requests and 3.5 megabytes, that could be pretty heavy for, let's say, a mobile somewhere on the New York City subway or somewhere in the middle of Arkansas. I don't know. I know nothing about Arkansas. So what do we actually do then? How can we improve this besides removing the residual code? Well, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the waterfall together. A website is nothing more than a collection of files that come from all over the place. Some files come from Facebook, some files come from the Shopify CDN network, and your browser, when they want to visit a website, they just say, hey, give me the list of all the files I need, and then your browser is going across the internet going to get each of these files. In the case of Cadden Lane, they have 203 files that they need to go get every time the homepage is loaded. And we can see right here are those 203 files in a chronological order by the order in which they get loaded. So these are all the files that get loaded when a homepage is loaded. Now, where does it get really interesting is that we at Ecom Experts are going to go over this manually and are going to see what makes sense, what doesn't. So right here, we can clearly see the first thing is a request to the server. That makes sense. The very next thing is going to be a JavaScript file. Okay, that makes sense. And like that, we go down the list and we say, well, okay, that's a lot of JavaScript file, but wait a minute. What is this? Bold upsell in the 7th place? If I see that the 7th file you are loading before tracking pixels, before your banner image, is the JavaScript of bold upsell app, I'm imagining that bold upsell is at the very top of your homepage. So let's go and see. And this is what happens with every store. I don't see bold upsell anywhere here. There is no reason bold upsell is loading here. There is just none. Okay, you might be thinking, yeah, but the upsell probably happens lower. Okay, still no bold upsell. Maybe on a quick view. No upsell right here. Why are we loading the bold upsell app on the homepage if you're not using it on the homepage? You see, you start understanding the picture here. All right, let's keep going down. So we had bold upsell around here, and then here bold upsell again, and then bold options. Now we're loading bold options. We didn't see bold options on the homepage. Don't forget, these apps are super useful on the product page or wherever you decide to have upsells or options, but they don't have to load on every single page. That's not the goal. And if you let all of these apps load on every single page, then you just clutter up your page. But let's go to the big final thing we do beside, like, well, not really optimizing images, but minifying JavaScript and yada, yada, yada. What is the other big thing that we do? All right, let's, we keep taking Cadden Lane as an example. And by the way, if this is your store, reach out to me. We'll do a very good deal on site speed optimization because I really used a random store I found here. And I owe you that one. Plus, you're a beautiful store. A very typical thing is, I think you have reviews here somewhere. Yes, you do have reviews. So now the question is, you have Yotpo reviews, I'm assuming. So we do a little control finds, we do Yotpo. Yotpo is being loaded on the homepage. Now the question is, why is it unload on the homepage? You see, if I visit your store, I see this. If I do it in mobile, I see, drum roll please, I see this. That's how it would look on mobile. Notice that in no cases are there any reviews. I do not see any reviews. So why am I loading the review app if the review is all the way down on the page? I could very well tell Yotpo, hey, don't load when the user sees the page for the first time. Wait a second. And when the user starts interacting with the page, then start loading Yotpo. Because by the time I scroll down and down and down and down and down, oh, now I'm gonna come to the reviews, and now it makes sense. You know, it got a lot of time to load the app. And so like that, we're really going to go to the entire waterfall of every single page that matters for the Shopify speed optimization score. So that means all the products pages, all the collection pages, and the home page. And we're really going to make sure that the things that get loaded need to get loaded there, and not just randomly push everything on load as soon as a user comes to your web page. And if we do it correctly, the result should look something like this. A mobile of 83, a desktop of 94. Those are numbers that start making sense, although headphones.com was a pretty complicated website to work on because they're so big, because their products are so amazing. So if you need headphones, go to headphones.com because frankly, they're amazing. But, you know, big sites get more complex, but 83 out of 100, that makes sense for mobile. And now it's optimized. The same for desktop, 94 out of 100, that makes sense for a desktop version. And then some people ask, okay, Andrew, but what do you prioritize? What is important that gets loaded on load? Well, the things that are important to get loaded on load is first of all your tracking pixels. You got to make sure you're tracking as soon as the web page starts loading, because then you can retarget, then you can, you're not losing out on all that tracking data. And then the number two that you start loading is your main image, your menu, your logo, the main call to actions. All of those things are, of course, very important and they should be loaded. But things that shouldn't be loaded are your Instagram app that's at your very footer. Wait, hold on to that load. Make sure that only starts loading once the user starts interacting with your page, instead of immediately slapping that as soon as your visitor visits your page. Hold on with the apps that are only on the product page. Don't make them load on the home page. Make them only load on the product page. And especially if you go to testmystorespeed.com and you realize, oh my God, wait a minute, I have Yotpo, that's a review app, and I got product reviews, that's a review app. That's no bueno. If all of this makes sense and you're like, oh, all right, can you do this for me? Absolutely. Follow the link down below. We just do Shopify site speed optimizations. That's the only thing we do. And we will gladly help you out making your store like this fast, like a 94, like an 83. We will gladly help you do that. Thanks a lot.